Welcome to this quick tutorial on using the assessment system for KV4000 Introduction to Programming. I'm going to begin by assuming you're sitting on Blackboard. If not, you're going to go to it, obviously. Let's go to Assessment and Submission, and you can see here the assessment HW1 is due for the 25th. You've got 2 weeks to do this. Let's just go there. Now, what we're doing as part of this system is using a new exciting system to actually do automatic marking. So I'm going to walk you through the process of automatic marking and also quickly cover some of the elements of thing. The first thing you're going to do is to download the document which covers the assessment, and the next thing you must download is the processing starter file. Okay, so let's open this one up, and while we're opening that one up, I'm going to show this in the Finder, and then I'm going to basically open it up. Obviously you need to copy it into somewhere useful, but let's just have a look here. This should work on Mac and PC, at least that's where we've checked it. And here we go, here is the assessment process. Here is all the specification for the assessment, and again you've got the amount of time it should take. We're going to deliver by the 25th of October, so that's 2 weeks. We're delivering out in week 3, which is today, and we will be marking soon. Not marking soon, we were marking by that point. After you've handed it in, we have 2 weeks to mark the work, which we probably won't need, and then you should be getting the correct marks back to you. Now, I would definitely read all of this, but I'm going to go through this again. The questions begin here, okay? So this is question 1. The function HW1Q takes a single float in meters and represents the number of meters and returns a float representing the number of feet. So it's a simple conversion program. Write the code that converts feet to meters. Now you might be thinking this is not difficult, and it isn't. It's meant to be a nice warm-up. But let's go back to processing. And here we go. So the first thing you have to do is you notice there's a simple setup process, and inside here we've actually got an assessment object. The assessment object actually will do all the marking. So the first thing you need to do is change this to your name, and this to your number, which will be, 19 something something something, no dashes, whatever. You will notice there's this process here which is mark all. This will mark all of the assignments. You can actually mark assignments one by one. Assessment 1 dot assessment 1. Yeah, assessment 1 dot mark question 1. If you just want to mark a single question, you can comment this line out and you can just use that. But I'm going to mark everything because I need to show you something at the end. Now you need to scroll down to the question. As you see, I provided a comment here to make sure that you actually line up the correct answer with the correct question. And we don't expect you to be able to write functions and methods at the moment, so we've provided one for you to work. So here you need to work out the code to actually do the result. I'm going to give you an incorrect result. Now let me show you the process of automatic marking. I'm hoping this process of automatic marking is going to be very exciting. If you're sitting at home, typically you don't know what your marks are until you actually go into the class and do the marking in the class. Historically, all the marking you would do all the work at home, not know if you've got the mark, go into the class, your workshop, and you had to attend every workshop, and if you didn't attend the workshop you'd of course lose the marks for the assessment. You had to print out the assessment, which ended up with huge amounts of paper, and we would mark the work in the class. So you'd have to sit there in the class waiting for an hour for someone to come along, look at your work. You'd hand over the paper copy, demonstrate the digital copy working in front of them, and then we will give you the mark on the spot. I'm hoping this automatic system means that you will know what mark you're going to get. And it also means that if you can't make it to the class, you can actually submit, because now everything's going to be submitted digitally and everything's going to be done online. If this fails, then we're going to have to go back to the old-fashioned paper system, but hopefully this system is going to work out well, and hopefully everyone's going to enjoy it, and we're going to get an awful lot of work, an awful lot of benefit from it. Let's see. This is our first experiment, and we have. I'm really excited about it. So let's see. I'm going to just say I've done assessment number 1, and then all I have to do is press run, and you will see here, if we scroll up to the top, it goes HW1Q1, which is this one, incorrect result, calculation wrong, no marks. Okay, now I'm going to quickly pause. I'm going to put the correct result in and not show it to you. So far I've correctly filled in the question for 2, and if you notice when it runs, you will notice at the bottom it goes correct. I've now got 5 marks. If I scroll down to the bottom, you will see that my total is now 5, and there is this code here at the bottom. Now, how to submit your assessment? There are 2 elements to this. The first one is to go down to here and make sure and cut and paste this line here. So this should be between the 2 sets of asterisks. And this has your name, your student number, and your checksum and your mark. So what you're going to do here is you're going to paste in the answer here, or paste in your mark here. The checksum makes sure that you haven't made a mistake with the mark. Obviously there are lots of elements to the software that will prevent cheating, and obviously we will persecute anybody engaging in plagiaristic behaviors mercilessly. The next thing you must do is save your project with your name. So go save as, and I've gone HW1, my name, and my fictitious student ID. Okay, and you'll see it's saved up here. Then you need to go into the File Explorer. You need to click Add Content, and you can go here and drag that across there. Now, let's just click Save. We're going to keep that name. So it's got HW1, my name, and my student ID.pde. We don't accept anything else. It is important. This is the actual submission for the assessment. This is to make sure we don't make any mistakes. As you can see, I can actually submit this, and you can actually submit as many attempts as you like. I've just made 3 practice submissions, and we hope to be marking the final submission. However, I don't want to make any mistakes, so if people do multiple submissions, the checksum is a good way of making sure that is all working correctly. Let's have a look at the questions. They start off quite simply. And as we go through, they get harder and harder. You will notice that some of the later questions involve the use of arrays. Now, we haven't taught you arrays yet, but remember, this assignment is not due until the end of week 4, and we'll be covering arrays and everything else you need to know to actually finish off the assessment by the end of week 3, and so you've got an entire week to finish it off. Now, the question, I'm going to point out a couple of things to you. You'll get 5 marks for each of these initial questions. They should be fairly simple and straightforward. After you've got up to question 8 correct, you will notice it actually says 40 pass. In order to pass the assessment, you need to get 40%. In order to pass any course, you need to get 40% across any course. In the first year, all of your courses have to be passed in order to be for you to pass on to the second year. None of the marks in this year actually contribute to your overall degree. So at the bottom line, you must actually hit the pass mark. Obviously, there are more questions to go beyond that, but if you hit 40, then actually at that stage I would submit that because you've actually passed the assessment. The next set of questions, again designed to sort of extend what you've done already and actually reinforce what you've achieved. And then the final two questions, so at that point you can actually hit an excellent mark of 70. And then the final two questions are genuine problem solving questions, which we hope you can actually engage with proper problem solving. The first one I think is going to be fairly simple and evident. The final question, that's definitely aimed at people who've come in with A-level computer science. If you have A-level computer science, I'm really expecting you to have a go at this question. If you haven't got A-level computer science and you're a real beginner, then it's okay to submit everything else. But you know what? You actually know enough to actually solve this question, so it might be a good time to sit down and have a good look and see if you can actually make out what's happening yourself. Now, the question itself is fairly simple and straightforward. It's actually used in many interview questions. It's actually used in many interviews, particularly in the financial tech market, fintech. So it's worth having a go at. Now, what's happening is these numbers you're given in an array, 5, 3, 4, 3, 9, 2, 5, are the values for a product, for example, gold. And what you want to do is to buy the product when it's cheap and then sell it when it's more expensive. Now, at this point, we're looking for the best possible price across the whole process, across the entire list. Now, I've given you a very small list here. The actual real list we give you could be much, much longer. So don't rely on the length of the list being a particular size. The numbers are obviously just integer numbers for the price, and you're looking for the biggest difference between buying and selling. But notice you have to buy before you sell. For example, here we can see that the price of 2 is much lower, but in order to actually use this, you'd have to buy and then go backwards in time to sell when it's higher. So you're looking backwards from whenever you're buying to the biggest sell. So this is definitely something you want to try solving. You definitely will be challenged by it. If you can't solve it, I would definitely have a go with it, but if you can't complete this exercise in time, definitely submit everything you've done so far. Everything up to here is perfectly fine, and you will get an excellent mark. If you can't solve this one, I would not worry about it, and I would definitely make sure you get your 85 points rather than missing out on getting 100 points. That is that for the assessment. Definitely do read through the instructions all here. Remember, you can submit many times. Okay, so we've covered everything. As I've said, the date of delivery is the end of week 4, so hopefully you have got plenty of time to actually do the work. So hopefully this automatic assessment system will work out. I'm very hopeful that we'll actually do it. I'm hoping the fact that you actually get feedback as you're working will mean that you can actually engage with the material and not worry about it. If you are having problems with the material, obviously your tutors cannot help you directly with the answers, but it's worth going to talk to them, and they will help you as much as they can within the limits of not giving you the answers up front. Okay, that's the end for this recording. I hope it's been informative. Do feel okay to leave comments on the system if there's anything that you find confusing about the assessment. Obviously, do not give out answers. Plagiarism will be dealt with. I hope this is going to be a great system. Obviously, I'm very nervous about its first usage, but I think it offers so many fantastic benefits. We're all going to have a great time. Well, goodbye and good luck with your assessment. Thank you.